Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a makeup look and I'm going to be using both old and new products. I recently picked up the Huda Beauty Icy Nude palette and it is gorgeous. I've been playing with it for the past few days. I actually got it during the Sephora savings event, so I did get a discount. This one sadly is her final 18 pan palette, which I was pretty bummed to hear. I am a fan of these larger palettes. I always look forward to seeing these every year, but I guess we'll see what else she releases. So I'm going to be using some older favorites and some newer products as well, and I'm going to be doing a look with this, so let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to do my eyes first today because with this palette, I do get quite a bit of fallout. A lot of the shades in here are super glittery and they are gorgeous. I've really been loving this color story, but it does get quite messy. Some of the shades in here are a little bit chunky as far as the glitters go, but they do look really pretty on the lids. I am going to be using my Milani eyeshadow primer. I'm still trying to use up this eyeshadow primer and I've had it for a few years now, so I am determined to use it up, but it's a really good primer, very affordable. So let's go ahead and start with the shade Lavish, which is this one right here, and this is a very light dusty rose. I've always really liked the matte shades in the Huda Beauty palettes, and the mattes in here are no exception. They blend super easily, and I feel like they're just really easy to work with, even the deepest shades. Next, I'm taking the shade Lavish, and I'm going to layer that one right over top. This one is definitely more cool toned, so I like mixing both of these. They kind of balance each other out. I'm going to take the shade Poised, so I'm placing that right on the outer corner. And I've been loving this brush lately. This is the Sigma E25 brush, and for some reason I just stopped using it over the years. I've had it for quite a few years now, but it just places the outer corner shade perfectly and it's super soft. So let's go ahead and apply some glitter now. I love these glitter shades. Yes, they are a chunkier glitter, but I love that the base is a little bit tacky, so it does adhere to the lids really nicely. So let's try VVS, which is this one right here. This is like a champagne slash rose gold glitter. So I'm gonna apply that one first, gently tapping it onto the lid. That is gorgeous. I don't think the camera is going to do this shade justice. I do like the way that this glitter looks on the lids, but I do want to top it with one more glitter, and this one leans more silver. This is the shade Diamond Dew, so I'm just going to layer a little bit of that right over top. I love the way that these two look combined. I did play with this combo the other day. Yeah, these shades look super foiled. I know this is going to seem excessive, but taking a little bit more of the shade VVS, which is that first glitter, I'm going to tap a little bit more just to really mix them together. So basically I sandwiched Diamond Dew in between VVS. I'm going to take my fluffy blending brush and just buff around the edges ever so lightly. I don't want to mess up the glitter, so I'm just doing it very gently and then tapping over the outer corner as well. I'm going to take the shade Faux Fur on a smaller brush, and I'm going to tap a little bit of that shade onto the outer corner. Taking more of the shade High Life and reapplying that in the crease. And then with the shade She Rich, which is the deepest shade in the palette, I'm going to use that to line my upper lash line. So pressing that right up against my lash line. So that is the eye look for now. I'm going to clean up underneath my eyes because I did get some fallout. So I'm just taking my makeup remover wipe, and I'm also cleaning up the edge of the eyeshadow. So another Huda Beauty product that I've been loving is the Easy Blur Primer. Now this one I didn't think did much when I first tried it, but the more that I used it, I realized that I actually love this. I think the key is to use more product. I don't think I was using enough of this when I first tried it. So I'm gonna take about this much. This might seem like a lot of primer, at least to me it does, and I thought it would be too much when I first tried it like this, but I think you really need more if you really want to see the smoothing effect. And I think Huda actually recommends that you use more product. I'm probably not even using as much as she recommends, so just applying that mainly to the center of my face and blending it outwards. But this one feels really nice and refreshing on my skin, and I do have a lot of redness today, but I've noticed that this kind of helps to calm it down, and it does do a decent amount of blurring. I wouldn't say this is super hydrating, but it's also not a mattifying primer, so I kind of like that it's somewhere in between. And then I like to take whatever's left onto the sides of my nose, and I just press it in. For foundation, I'm going to be using the Nars Light Reflecting Foundation, and this one is in the shade Punjab. I'm going to apply that with my foundation brush. This one is from Real Techniques. And look at how that redness on my cheek almost completely disappeared. Look at the difference. I really love this foundation. This is still one of my top favorite ones, if not my favorite. It always looks good, even when I'm having a lot of skin issues. I don't think that was recording, but I did go over my foundation with my beauty sponge just to really press everything in and remove any excess. So let's go in with concealer next. This one I don't feel like I hear anyone talking about anymore, but I do think it was pretty popular a few years ago. So this is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Concealer, and this is a self-setting concealer. I don't think this is being discontinued, but I haven't seen it on the Sephora website anymore, but I did see it on the Makeup Forever website, and I think at Nordstrom, but this is one of the most skin-like concealers that I've ever tried. This one is in the shade 30.5, and this is a brightening shade for me, but I also have 31.5, which is more of a skin tone match. So I like using these on their own in place of foundation, but I also love them with foundation. So I'm gonna blend that out with my brush. I'm also cleaning up the edges of the eyeshadow. This blends so easily, and it has the perfect amount of coverage for me. I'm going to take my sponge again and press in the concealer. This one I haven't used in a little while. This is the Too Faced Melting Bronzing and Sculpting Stick. And this one not only smells good, it smells like hot cocoa, but it blends so nicely. It's one of the easiest bronzing slash shaping sticks that I've ever used. And even though it looks quite cool toned, once it's on my skin, it's just the perfect neutral undertone. But this is in the shade Chocolate Mousse. So I'm just applying it directly onto my skin. When I first tried this, I was like, there is no way that this is gonna match me or not look ashy on me, but somehow it works out. A little bit along my jawline and on the sides of my nose. I applied it kind of messily to the sides of my nose, but the good thing is that it blends out really nicely. So I'm just gonna blend that out with my e.l.f. Complexion Duo brush. I think especially if you want something quick and easy, this is a really good product for that, and it does wear really well. I'm going to set the concealer with the e.l.f. Prime and Stay Finishing Powder, and this is such an affordable powder. This one is $4, and this is in the shade Fair / Light. It gives a little bit of a brightening finish, but even though it's the shade Fair / Light, I don't feel like it's too brightening on me. So I'm only applying that to my under eyes because I am going to go in with a different powder for the rest of my face. So I am still loving the Makeup by Mario Surrealskin Soft Blur Setting Powder. This is a talc-free setting powder, and I have this in the shade 2 Neutral Light. The only thing I don't love about this powder is really just the packaging. I do wish that it had some sort of cover on the sifter. It can get a little bit messy because nothing is covering the sifter. So that's my only complaint with this powder, but the actual powder is just perfect to me. This sets my makeup beautifully, but it doesn't look too matte on my skin. And because it is talc-free, it feels a little bit lighter than some talc-based setting powders. I know I already applied that Too Faced bronzing and shaping stick, but I want to go in with a glowier bronzer. So I'm going to use the one from this Hourglass Holiday Palette. This is the medium Evil Eye palette. I can't believe I didn't talk about this in my Sephora recommendations video. Somehow it just slipped my mind, but it's been a favorite of mine. I love all of the powders in here. I love to mix and match the blushes, and the bronzer is such a pretty glowy bronzer. So just a really good all-around palette. So picking up the bronzer on this Refer 05 brush. I like that the bronzer in here isn't as warm toned as last year's bronzer in the medium palette. It just leans a little bit more neutral. And I'm gonna pinch the brush and apply some to the sides of my nose. So this one is a little bit bougie, but this is one of my favorite blushes. This is the Gucci blush in the shade Rosy Beige. And not only do I love the packaging, but the actual blush is so pretty on the cheeks. And I think this is gonna pair really nicely with the eyeshadow. And I've been loving applying my blush with this Morphe 822 brush. It's a little bit smaller than I usually go for when it comes to a blush brush, but I really love the way that this applies it. It helps me to not overdo it the way that I do a lot of the times. So I'm gonna apply that right onto the cheeks. Oh yeah, that is the perfect rosy beige blush for this look. And it has a little bit of a glow to it, but it's very subtle. I know these blushes are super expensive, and this is the only product I've ever purchased from Gucci, but it has been worth every single penny because I use it a lot. Let's go in with some finishing powder, and I'm actually gonna use the one from the Evil Eye palette. So this one right here. So I'm gonna apply some under my eyes, and I'm also gonna buff out the edges of the blush and bronzer. I love the way this finishing powder softens everything. So even if I went in with a little too much bronzer or blush, I can just take this powder and buff over everything. I did my brows off camera just to save some time, but I used the e.l.f. Ultra Precise Brow Pencil, and this is in the shade Cool Brown. I've been using this one for a while, and it's still one of my favorites. And then I topped it with the e.l.f. Wow Brow Gel, and this one is in the shade Deep Brown. I always get the shade names confused for some reason, but these are really good, affordable brow products. So I'm gonna finish up the lower lash line now. I'm gonna take a mix of Lavish and High Life, so dipping back and forth between both of those and buffing that onto the lower lash line. I'm also gonna take the shade Posed, and this one I'm keeping right on the outer edge. I'm also using Faux Fur and applying that right over top. Taking a little bit more of the shade High Life and reapplying that on the lower lash line. I want more of a pop to the inner corners, so I'm gonna take the lighter duochrome in the palette. This one is called Iced Out, and this is a really pretty duochrome. I love it as an inner corner highlight, but I also like to use it as a topper for the other glitters and metallics in the palette. I'm gonna pick that up on a tiny brush. I did practice this look yesterday, but for some reason it looks very different from the look that I did yesterday. So even though I practiced it, it didn't turn out quite the same. And I'm gonna bring some onto the inner portion of the lid. and a little bit into the inner crease. Yeah, that looks so pretty. I love this look more than the one I did yesterday, so I'm glad it didn't turn out the same. Okay, actually, one more thing. I'm gonna bring some of that duochrome onto the inner part of the lower lash line just to connect it. Okay, that looks a little bit better. I felt like something was missing on the lower lash line, so I just added a little bit right here. So let's do setting spray next, and I'm gonna combine two of my favorites. This is the Milani Make It Last Original Setting Spray, which I'm running low on, so I might have to repurchase this in a few weeks. And then I'm going to top it with the One Size Until Dawn Mattifying Waterproof Setting Spray. This one is more mattifying than the Milani one. The Milani one gives a slight glow to the skin, but it does help my makeup to lock into place. But adding this one over top of it just really makes everything last for hours and hours. So I'm going to add this one on top. I do have to hold in my breath when I'm spraying this, but it works so beautifully, and I love pairing it with other setting sprays that aren't as mattifying. So this is a really nice combo. So now that I applied my setting sprays, I can go in with mascara. This is the Clio Kill Lash Superproof Mascara, and this is in their volume and curling version. I'm going to tightline my upper waterline with the NYX Epic Wear Liner Stick. This is in the shade Berry Goth. And then for my lower waterline, I'm going to use the Colourpop Cream Gel Liner in the shade Amethyst Hour. I wasn't sure how it was going to look with this liner on the waterline, but I actually really like it. It added a little bit of brightness. So I can't decide between these two lip liners for this look. This one is the Makeup Forever Artist Pencil in the shade Anywhere Caffeine. And now that I swatched it, I think this one might be a little bit too warm tone for this look. And then this one from NYX, this is the Retractable Lip Liner in the shade Sand Beige. Okay, I think I might actually go with this one. So it's a lot more pinky brown. It leans a little more purpley as well, and it is deeper. So I think it might pair with the look really nicely. Let's go ahead and try it out. I love these NYX retractable lip liners because they are very creamy, but they do dry down matte. Yeah, I think I do like this one with this look. So I'm going to top that with a gloss. This one, it doesn't actually have the name on it, but this is a L'Oreal lip gloss, and this is in the shade Rose Harmony. And I have used this one a few times, but for some reason, I just never use it. Okay, I think I remember why I don't really use this gloss. It's really just the fragrance. It's kind of like a powdery candy scent, so it's a little overpowering for me. I think that's why I don't really reach for it. I really like that combo so far. It's not as cool toned as the lip liner, but I think it works. I like the gloss. I really just don't like the fragrance, but it feels comfortable and it's lightly hydrating. All right, you guys, so that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching and spending some time with me. I'm filming this on a Saturday, so I am probably gonna go out in a little bit, and I'm loving my makeup right now. I am loving this Huda Beauty Icy Nude palette. It's gorgeous. I know it's very glittery, but I love glitters, and the mattes are beautiful as well. Let me know if you guys have been loving any products, both old and new, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.